Hello, folks. Your Aunty Lillian here, dear. Now, this is going to be a bit of a reaction of a difference. Now, as you know, I've done songs and I've done dances and whatever, but this is a bit of a history one. Now, if anybody doesn't know, when Aunty Lillian does her lives on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube and all there, you would hear your Aunty Lillian singing Micky Marley's Roundabout. Now, for a lot of people, who are maybe a wee bit younger who don't know who Micky Marley was. He was a man who had a wee wooden roundabout in Belfast and he brought all segments of the community together. But you know something? Let's have a wee look at his story, and that's what we're going to do today. So this is a wee bit of a reaction with the difference. This is an Aunty Lillian Reacts special, and this is the story of Micky Marley. And I'm going to watch it with you. I have not seen this before. I am aware that there's one of Aunty Lillian's friends in this video, our Paul Valadez. Oh, I've known him for years, dear. Aha. So this is the history of our Micky Marley and what he did for the community and of a very difficult time in Belfast City. So when Andy Lillian gets the black box up right on time. There's the black box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a good lot of this in big screen so you can see it. Now just bear in mind this is an older video, folks, so the sound might be a wee bit low. So I'm going to pump it up full blast. So here is the Micky Marley story.
When you talk about Micky Marley on the Grosvenor Road, somebody's got a big massive story to tell you about him.
Micky Marley was a Belfast legend, toured the streets of Belfast for over 50 years.
Sorry, Paul.
Roundabout, entertaining the kids. Went up and down the Falls Road, the Shankill Road, all over.
He had no political aspirations or anything else. He just was happy to get a few pence or whatever it was from any children who wanted to get on the roundabout.
For people who didn't know him, they did miss out on a big character because he was part of Belfast, he was Belfast, you know, everybody knew him. When he became that well known that he had a song wrote for him.
Unknowingly to himself, I think he didn't realise that he was a link actually between Catholics and Protestants in his own way, because they took him, they didn't care what he was, because the children just wanted to get on that roundabout.
Now you see, folks, that's the roundabout. There was no electric, there was no mechanical movement, there was just a bit of wood. It was made by wood, and you just pushed it round, and there was the horse. And so each song says it would eat sugar lumps all the day. So here we go. The Micky Marley story.
Growing up during the Troubles, especially in Lower Falls, it was absolutely madness. You're talking about bombs, you're talking about people being killed on a regular basis, you're talking about, you know, like rioting.
Terrible, folks.
That's why Davis was, when we lived in the Lower Falls, it was just normal to see shooting, to hear bombs, to see Land Rovers buzzing down the Falls Road and knocking people off their feet, and constant funerals.
The Troubles were really, really bad in Belfast at the time. You know, it was a gamble to go out and about, where all the shooting and everything else going on.
In those early days, like, it probably was dangerous enough to walk about the streets, and because, you know, there was conflict, there was a lot of hatred on both sides.
I started working with Micky about 1984, and I happened to walk down into Corn Market, and I was just mesmerised with the horse and the roundabout. And I just hung around there for a while, and Micky said, "Go and get us a cup of tea, son." And I went and got him a cup of tea, and then we just headed off, and he said to me, "Do you want a lift home?" So I got a lift home, and got to know where he lived in the Grosvenor Road, and he had the horse out in the backyard and stuff like that. And we we had it off really, you know what I mean? And every Saturday we used to go down in the car market and stuff like that, and then after school, I used to ride CBS in the Glen Road. He'd have picked me up at 3 in the afternoon, and we used to tour all the streets around there too. But we went all over. We went Shankill, Falls Road. We done a lot of events, you know, Micky Marley, the Welders Club on Newton Yards Road. Micky went everywhere.
Paul was first to work with him, and me and Paul were best friends. You know, we went everywhere together. The two of us were never out of trouble. You know, the two of us were up to mischief, and he kind of had the wee job for Micky on a Saturday. So it kind of went from there, and Micky made it clear that you don't steal from me. You do what you're told. You know, you have like responsibilities like cleaning out the roundabout at the end of the day on a Saturday, giving a clean over, washing the horses and all the wee carts on it. You know, after school, I mean, I would bounce around to check on the horse and, you know, muck him out because he needed muck out every day. You know, so I mean that was kind of our lives. You know, working on a Saturday all day. I think, if I can remember rightly, I think me and Paul maybe got a tenner on a Saturday.
Well, I used to go over to Micky's at about 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Micky had been up and all. The horse Joey used to kick the stable wall at 6 in the morning to get Micky up, to get him his breakfast. And then Micky would have groomed the horse down and everything else and harnessed it up. And then he used to keep the roundabout at the time up in the Peter Pan complex on the Springfield Road. And we'd have gone up there, harnessed the horse up, galloped it down the Grosvenor Road, and then we trotted into town with the horse, round the car market, and that was our setup for the day. And the
Just to let anybody know who doesn't know, folks, the Grosvenor Road, the Falls Road, all up that side was West Belfast. Then you had the Shankill Road, that was a Catholic area, and then you had the Shankill Road, which was a Protestant area, and then you have the Newton Ards Road, which Paul said earlier on, which is a Protestant area. So Micky went everywhere. He brought everybody together, and it was difficult in those days, folks, you know, but he did it. You know, and as I say, he did events and all as well. So let's carry on there.
kids used to flock there all day long with the music going. It used to attract everybody to come round. And the photographs and everything else used to get taken from tourists and everything else, you know, it was really good. But he was a character, proper old character, and he had to spun this round, the roundabout, and he used to shout, right now, Bangor and Donegal, you know, for the kids, and that type of thing, you know. He was a real Belfast character, Micky.
It was a great thing for the children in those days, and it was a great way of being close to having a bit of fun with the carousel and taking their minds off other things. Because
I know that man from somewhere. I know his name, but I can't remember it. But Aunty Lillian knows him there.
in those days, apart from skipping and playing Marleys
That's
and
right.
bunking Marleys, there wasn't much else to do at times, you know. But to see the roundabout coming in was a big, you know, it was a powerful sort of thing to happen, you know, for them.
One around.
There it is. Who'd have believed, folks, that something so simple would cause children so much joy and so much excitement compared to nowadays when it's tablets, computers, mobile phones, you know what I mean? Look at that. And the children, you still love to see it coming. Just shows you the way things changed there.
Micky's mindset was bringing a wee bit of fun to the wee ones, because I mean when they seen the roundabout coming, like when you get the wee faces, the excitement, them jumping up and down in the queue, you know, screaming, and you know, my turn, and once the cart stopped, you know, it was like all wee ants climbing up an anthill. You know, it was like two wee seats. So it was only two kids in front and two seats in the back. So it only could be four in each wee cube.
The horses probably tortured as much because a lot of the children had never probably seen a horse in those
Sure.
days, like, you know, never mind coming into the street. And so that was all part of the fun, the excitement.
People thought it was strange that us two were working for this wee man who had an attitude, you know, like it was uncomfortable or something. But to us, it was just like he was just Micky, and with Barney with him, we would cuss at him and he would cuss at us too, and you know, but he wouldn't harm the fly. He's just Very vocal, the two of us, because we were all messed about.
Micky was a bit like a dad to me, a bit like a father to me. Micky, you know, he looked after me, you know, even the other side of Belfast, say the Shankill or something like that, there, he was dead protective that way, you know what I mean? And he always watched out for me, you know what I mean? And fondest memories was finishing in town, maybe on a Friday or something like that, going to Fusco's Chippy in the Grab on the road, get me a fish supper, going over to his, getting the horse put away and everything else. Big roaring fire, the open fire on the Grab on the road, and you know, he was a homely old boy. The troubles were really, really bad then. You know, there was shootings, bombings going off everywhere, but it didn't affect Micky at all. Didn't. He just went wherever. Micky was quite aware of, you know, where he was going, and you know, the Shankill and the Falls, and you know, East Belfast. It didn't really bother Micky. You know what I mean? All he was out to do was to entertain the kids.
Absolutely.
We just drifted through Belfast, like we going past Ratton, and just the horse would just go up on the curb and pull the cart along. We had the sense of we could go anywhere. You know, we never feared, like going across the Shankill. We went across the Shankill. You know, going across to East Belfast. We went across to East Belfast.
You know, he was welcomed up the Shankill Road, welcomed to the Falls, anywhere at all that he wanted to go. He was given permission, if you want, to travel there in safety, you know, so fair play to him. Like, he was that sort of man, like, you know.
We got to visit so many places in Belfast. We got to go to like school fetes, Christmas parties, places that we would never had access to if it hadn't been for Micky and the Roundabout and Horse. People really wanted him to be at a certain place.
Me coming from the Falls Road myself, you know what I mean? I was quite, you know, we had gone up the Shankill Road or Newton Ards Road or somewhere like that there, you know. But it didn't really bother Micky that much, and he said, yeah, you'll be all right, son, and all stuff like that, you know what I mean? And he used to watch the news and all before he'd gone out to see if anything was happening and stuff like that, and he said, we'll take a chance and we'll come out. And he took chances. He took chances and he went out, and he just went out and done it, up the Shankill or wherever he went, around all them streets. Every street he went around, he knew all the streets like the back of his hand, you know, where to go, and, you know, the kids came out after school or something like that, you know. It didn't bother Micky where he went.
But there would have been a few times that Micky would say, look, there's too much going on, kids, we're not going to venture over there, or we're not going to travel over there like the east, because it is a wee bit dicey. We'll call the day off and we'll just go back in the city centre. And we just went back in the city centre and continued as we did. But I never felt for 1 minute that that Micky would put me and Paul at risk. You know, he cared about us, that he did care about us, and he would never bring us in a situation where we were possibly blown up or possibly shot or hurt or anything. He took responsibility for us and we took responsibility for him.
Think about it was in those days, folks, when things went on in Belfast, and Lillian knows this dear, we all had to get on with it. You know, there was no sitting in the house scared or whatever. We all had lives to lead, and we had to carry on as normally. I don't, Aunty Lillian doesn't like using that word, like, but we had to carry on as much as we could. And people were very, very resilient, and we just carried on as much as we could, you know. And it was difficult, and there was days there were certain places, that girl says, where you couldn't go, but you had to go to, like there was people had to go to work and all, you know, you just had to get on with it, you know. But it was difficult, you know.
The way he thought about it was bringing a wee bit of fun to every part of Belfast that he went. And he would go around Belfast, and one day he would go around and he'd stop at different estates and the kids would all have a wee go and, you know, have a good laugh. He definitely had the kids in his head. He definitely had, you know, this here notion that he needed the kids, he needed the, you know, the money, he needed the, you know, the fun, he needed that there kind of element in his life where he was doing something for somebody else, you know. So it was distraction. For him, it was a distraction.
That was his escape. You know, his wife died several years before that, and you know that was Micky's escape. You know, getting away, keeping it off his mind and stuff, and getting out. You know, 'cause he was a hard-working man, Micky Marley. You know, that's his life was the roundabout and the horse, and his two dogs, Rex and Spot, the two Jack Russells. That was his life. You know, and he loved the kids. loved the kids, Micky. So that's sort of why he kept his mind of a lot of things too, you know.
Because of the Troubles, there was barricades going up all around Belfast, different roads and streets to try and, in those days, to protect the people, because they didn't really know at times who was attacking them. So it's like, let's build a barricade for protection. And unfortunately, Micky's Roundabout became a good form of barricade, and that was burnt down and became part of a barricade, sadly.
Obviously, he was in bits, and I was like his livelihood. I was his, you know, his life, and it did set him back, and it did upset him, and it did send him into a wee rut.
He just probably went downhill for a while after that, you know, and he probably thought, I'll never be on the road again with the Roundabout. So.
See, and that's what the song says. And then, alas, to his dismay, the roundabout got burnt one day. Poor Micky lost everything he had, and all the children were so sad.
Micky was out of work for quite a long while, and I think a lot of people rallied around, and you know, there was different things going around and saying, look, we need to get Micky Marley sorted out here.
People from all sides, Catholic, Protestant, all took a hand in building his new roundabout, and wasn't obviously as good as the old one. I think the old one was more the Italian, the real horses.
He was so made up after that, you know, so that got him back on the road again.
So all the people in Belfast, from the Catholic community, the Protestant community, all came together to make Micky a new roundabout. And that was a thing in those days, you know what I mean? But they did it. And it brought people together to give the children joy.
And then, of course, along came the song, Micky Marley's Roundabout.
Which your Aunty Lillian sings.
Song was in our heads for a good while, because we thought we could do something with this song, you know, we could make it into a real catchy wee number.
Micky Marley had a wee horse, he kept it at the back of the house, of course. It wouldn't eat grass and it wouldn't eat hay, but it would eat sugar lumps all the day. And Micky got wood and wheels for a start, then he sat down and made a wee cart. He hammered and he hammered and he footered about, until he had built the roundabout. Round and up and down, through the streets of Belfast town, all the children laugh and shout, here comes Micky's roundabout. Then he went from street to street, a penny a time and pick your seat. A hobby horse or a motor car, jump on some and howl the bar. The children's faces shine with glee, laughs and smiles a sight to see. Haven't got a penny and your miles gone out, you can still get on his roundabout. Round and up and down, through the streets of Belfast town, all the children laugh and shout, here comes Micky's roundabout. But then, alas, to his dismay, the roundabout was burnt one day, for Micky lost everything he had, and all the children were so sad. But his friends, they gathered round from every part of Belfast town. They hammered and they hammered and they footered about, built him a brand new roundabout. Round and up and down, through the streets of Belfast town, all the children laugh and shout, here comes Micky's roundabout. Hobby horses don't get old, on winter days don't feel the cold, but Micky knows each winter past, the roundabout is still at last. No more we'll hear the happy sound of his roundabout in Belfast town, but we thank the horse and the wee small man. For the joy they've spread across the land, round and up and down, through the streets of Belfast town. All the children laugh and shout, here comes Micky's roundabout. Round and up and down, through the streets of Belfast town. All the children laugh and shout, for here comes Micky's roundabout.
And as you know, folks, your Aunty Lillian sings that all the time. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed that wee rendition of the history of Micky Marley's Roundabout. Unfortunately, I can't show the whole video because we'll be here all day, but if you want to check out that video, it's there on YouTube, so it is. It is indeed. Aunty Lillian will just have a wee look here. It is, if you look up Neil Johnston, that's Neil Johnston. If you go to his YouTube channel, you can see the rest. There's only about a few more minutes left of it, so that gives you a wee bit of a clue about the history of our Micky Marley. Well, look, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a wee bit of a different one today. It wasn't music, it wasn't dancing. It's a part of our history. Micky Marley was very, very important in the bad days of Northern Ireland. He brought communities together, he brought children together from all different religions and whatever, and it was hard those days. And he went into every part of the community because he cared about the community. Well, look, folks, if you've enjoyed this wee reaction today and enjoy learning a wee bit, please give this wee video a thumbs up for your Aunty Lillian. And also, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to your Aunty Lillian's channel. Well, look, I will be back very, very soon. And I will see you all very soon. Well, Aunty Lillian loves you all. And the most important thing is get it up your way you're young. See you later. Bye-bye.